let me ask both of you, because after your film study, Mark, Stokes, your film study, we've been trying to put our finger down on what's wrong with this offense, and it's been centered on Sean Payton's offense is out of date. Sean Payton's offense is too complex in that they're asking the players to do too much too soon, or the players just aren't good enough and aren't executing. As you guys have watched the film, Stink, I'll start with you. Where are you leaning as to what the main culprit is?
All right, so I went back as I dissected the run game, and I'll let Stoke, because listen, Stoke has forgotten more about the passing game than I'll ever know. And it doesn't matter how much I study, I'll never know it like Stoke knows it, because Stoke did it. That's what he did. And so I will always defer and lean on his knowledge of what's going on. He talked about formations. He talked about personnel groupings. He's talked about all that stuff. And I, for one, love hearing his opinion, because I want to be as educated as I can possibly be. And why would I not lean into a guy that did it for 15 years at a professional level and won Super Bowls and did all the things that he did? So, I'll give him all that. And I will piggyback what he said about formations and personnel groupings. One thing Sean has a history of is he likes to be very diverse in the run game. And this group is not talented enough, is not good enough, and based on the film I'm watching, is not versed enough from a football acumen standpoint to be that versatile. They need to, as Neil McCoy said in a country song that I used to love a long time ago, they need to small up and simple down. They are too freaking complex, and they are making mental errors right and left. And there were so many just mental errors, lack of understanding a number count. When a safety comes down in the box, being able to recognize that safety and understand we have got to get to that guy because now he becomes part of the box number count, and they didn't do it. It was freaking tackling practice for the Pittsburgh Steelers, unblocked tackling practice. And as I'm watching the film last night, I'm just going, I cussed in my room several times, but you got to be S-ing me. You got to be, I kept going, you got to be, are you kidding me?
I've never heard that. I give you credit. That's a new one. You know
what I'm talking about.
Me.
You got to be S-ing me. What are you guys doing? What are we doing? And the amount of times they used Little Jordan Humphrey like a tight end. They were trying to make Little Jordan Humphrey a tight end. And Stoke, I'm going to give you credit. You turned me on to the too much complexity, and I was like, I like formations, and I've always been an offense where we used multiple formations, and we used a lot of different personnel groups, and we used a lot, but we did that. We still kept it simple. We still did things that we could do, and we, it is, like I said, you got to small up and simple down, because the guys you got playing for you right now can't execute with the complexity that you're using. They can't.
Yeah, you're 100% right, and I think you broke that down really well there, Mark. And I think when you look back at your teams and the things that you were doing with Mike and Gary Kubiak and with shifting and motion and all these different things that you could do. But you could do those things because you could go out there, your team offensively could go out there and execute it at a high level. So I think that's what's going to be interesting to me because we've all seen it now, and we've talked about it for a couple of weeks, and Mark's going to break down this offensive line and that play he was talking about where the safety came free. That was that 3rd and 1 play, and I can't wait to hear him break down that play. But now I think it's really important. This is why the coaches get paid the big bucks. Okay, now you know who your team is. Okay, to your question, Mike, they're not very talented offensively. We're just not at an upper echelon talented football team. Now you know that they can't handle the things that you've been asking them to do. It's obvious, right, that they can't do it. There's a lot of mental mistakes out there, and there's physical mistakes also. So how do you take a step back and try to get these guys to go out there and just be able to execute at a high enough level to go out there and be successful offensively? And that's what's going to be interesting for me moving forward. What will the adjustments be from this offensive staff?
So, because what I'm hearing from both of you, great football talk here, but to sum it all up, is you're taking an offense made up of guys who only know Algebra 1, and you're trying to teach them calculus.
Yes.
And they just aren't. And then add to it, your point, Stoke, is that not only are you trying to teach them something they're just not equipped for yet, but you're just running in different personnel groups all over the place too. So you're already going to have a struggle with continuity just because of all the different players you're using. And then pile on top of that, you're asking them all to run an offense that they just don't understand.
And guess what? Guess what? You're trying to develop a young quarterback at the same time. Right. And so that's why we've seen what we've seen through 2 weeks, and it's just been a complete disaster, complete mess.
So in terms we can all understand then, both of you, I'll start with you, Mark, what does Sean have to do?
Got to make it simple.
Okay, what does that look like? What does that mean?
Well, like I'll give you for instance. All right, when you play Pittsburgh or 3-4, you play one of those defenses, right? Where they got themselves in a lot of trouble, and I talked about number counts, is like stacked boxes, like 8-man boxes, and who do we block and all that stuff. And it was really bad. I mean, it was really bad, like embarrassingly bad. But when they got into more spread formation, where they got nickel fronts, where it was really defined, and there was not extra bodies that they had to account for and they had to sift through, they actually their 3 or 4 best runs of the game, and they only got it 3 or 4 times, were in those fronts. So I would tell you, well, if that's what we can do, then damn it, we're going to become a 3-wides team. And we're going to get guys in, we're going to get teams in, 4 down line, in even fronts and 4 down line with 2 linebackers. Excuse me. And that's how we're going to attack them in the run game. Because we're not smart enough to sift through, we're not smart enough to sift through and understand where we have to go and the guys we have to block when we create extra bodies in the box. So, that's how you simplify something. Hey, we can't do this, so let's do what we can do.
Yes. I mean, look, I think to start, Mike, not so wordy. Like, there's a lot of words. Like, you look at Sean Payton, and he's grinding over these plays. And he's talking to Bo, and the play clock's running down, and all of a sudden Bo gets in the huddle, and it's like 16 seconds on it. He's trying to read the play out and remember the play, and I think they can clean that up a little bit to help Bo out, and maybe it's a wristband. I don't know here. And then also, what are our 2 best personnel groupings? 3 wide, 2 tight. Okay, that's what we're running all damn game long, right? I'm sorry, Michael Burton. Unless it's 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 or we're at the goal line and, short yardage situation, you're not going into the football game. Little Jordan Humphrey, right? Unless you're part of our 3 wide package, you're not going in if we go 2 tights, 2 wide receivers. That's going to be Cortland Sutton, and that's going to be Josh Reynolds with our 2 tight ends. We need to get good at something. We're trying to do so much, and we're good at nothing. So let's go with 2 personnel groups as our main groups. I know when we were in Indy, that's what we did. We either played 2 tights or 3 wides. That was it. And we were pretty damn good. But you look up, and you got this young quarterback, and they're doing so much. I just think you're trying to do too much. And then on top of that, hey, I want our best plays. Okay, we got our simple concepts. Mark talks about it all the time. Hey, this is what the whole league does. It's just simple stuff, and it can be successful against any coverage. And then Bo's going to get good at this. Bo is going to get good at reading, this all go with a outside receiver, running the under route or the 2 outside receivers running comebacks. And then, it's good against any coverage. He's going to be able to go through his progressions and his reads, and he can get good at something. Help him out a little bit more.
Right. One of the things that I hear everywhere I go, every week that I go do a game, I hear this word and it makes my skin crawl. And the word is premium. We want to get into a premium play. And you know what that means to me? That means we're going to have 2 plays called, and we're going to basically go to the play that we think is the best play, for a particular look. And here's why that bothers me. That means that you are responsible as an offense to run a pass play coupled with some type of run off it. They call it a kill it package, a can it package. We used to call it a check with me package, whatever it is. But it takes away from your offensive aggressiveness. And the other thing it does, Mike, is it doesn't allow you to use snap count to your advantage. And the one advantage that we have as an offense is snap count. Like, I can come out and say, hey, we're going to run this play, like Brandon was saying, this play, and I'm going to keep it to the running game. This play is 18 handoff force. It's good against everything, okay? Everything. So 18 handoff force on first down. Walk up to the line of scrimmage, and you go. And everybody comes off the ball, and you go knock people in the teeth, and it's good against everything. And it's funny. Who's the highest scoring team in football right now? Anybody know? It's the Saints, right?
Yeah.
Highest scoring team in football right now is the Saints. You know who they have? Clint Kubiak. For all you Kubiak haters who said that Gary Kubiak's scheme 15 years ago or 10 years ago or 5 years, whatever it was completely outdated, and you couldn't win with that, and they won a Super Bowl. But you know who you are. You guys are idiots. But
Wow.
But anyhow,
This is his thing.
anyhow, so Clint Kubiak is running that, and I'm talking to Rick Dennison, who Stoke, Rick Dennison,
Yep.
longtime run game coordinator, run coach. He goes, I talked to him on the sideline. He goes, dude, we have so many run it good against everything plays, tank plays, whatever you want to call it. Like, we take all that pressure off our players. We want to play aggressively. We want to come downhill. We want to, even if it's a 3-yard gain, if it's a nasty 3-yard gain, let's just go ahead and get it. And it takes it takes the onus off the QB. It takes the onus off the players. They don't have to read anything. They just come out of their stance and try to shorten necks. And, that's part of keeping it simple, stupid. Let's just make it as simple as possible, and let's physically go out and beat people up.